Facebook connection. Anyway, I say all that to say I'm Brent Leary.
And I'm Paul Greenberg.
And it goes without saying that we are the CRM players, but I said it anyway. There it is.
So there. Take that, public.
Take that, publicus. Wow, you got to be
Wow.
careful about saying that one. All right. I stalled long enough just so that the show can officially begin because Sven is in the house and I think that's French, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah. That is absolutely French. It actually means good evening, my dear friends.
Is that what that? Wow, I didn't know you spoke French.
I took 3 years in high school. That's I'm just going from memory.
Wow, that's an excellent memory. If you're
It's
going
good.
from high school.
Yeah, but it says soiree, right? Which means, if I remember correctly,
Party
means
or something.
evening. Well,
Oh.
no, actually, I mean a soiree is a party, but it actually means in French evening. So it's like good evening, my dear friends.
All right, so Sven, give us the official translation so that we know what you're saying to us because we just never know unless it's in like English. So.
And even there, we sometimes aren't sure ourselves because we don't
Yeah,
speak it that well.
absolutely. So anyway, we are glad to be back. It's Thursday. It's not that bad out there right now. Actually, I think it's kind of. I don't even think we're in the 80s here. This is
Really?
yeah, it's 81. It's actually warmer up there than it is,
Yeah,
here.
because here I think it's 86 or something like that. Last I looked.
Oh, look at the greeting from Mr. Larry Augustine. Greetings, venerable gentlemen.
Well,
Well, you're half right,
okay.
Larry.
Yes.
You're half
Yes.
right.
Okay, Larry. Woo.
Wait till Steve Gilmore is on, and then gentlemen will take place.
No, he's
It is
already got
bright
you
and bright.
included, man. You are in.
I'm gonna shave this beard. There's too
Greg
much
got you.
gray in it.
Well, I got a haircut today, which kind of shaved my head a little too far. Look at this.
It looks good. It's high and tight.
That was high and tight. Yeah, I mean, I asked for medium all the way around and got pretty much skinhead, right?
Wow.
So, yeah, well, let's say skinhead without the political
Yeah,
ramifications.
please.
Um,
And I'm donning a brand new, never worn before.
Ooh,
Ramsey.
cool.
Yeah.
Is that what kind of? That's not an official logo, is it?
Yeah.
That's the official logo.
Yeah, it switched over. Was it last year or 2 years ago? It took me a while to warm up to it, but I actually kind of like it. Not as much as I like the real.
Well, of course, that was your childhood logo.
Absolutely, yeah.
But this one, that's a very. And then I looked at it on that particular hat. Super contemporary logo. It's really nice.
Good.
It's actually really smart.
Yeah.
Let's get their designer to help us with PPN.
Yeah, that would be great. All right. In the meantime, yes, we have a guest coming up a little later. The subject matter is going to be, I think, of interest to folks. We'll fill you in a little bit. But in the meantime, something I wanted to, I forgot to do something here. I wanted for us to at least, because I know this day and the reason for bringing this up is going to be of interest to you because I know you're a music aficionado. I like saying that for some reason. It sounds kind of good. Let me see if this comes up. So I was on Facebook. Actually, you know what? As much as I rail against Facebook, there are some good things about Facebook. It reminds you of things. And at least in that regard, I kind of like it.
When you say remind you of things, you mean like people's memories kind of remind you of things or stuff that somebody posts that you look at and said, oh, yeah, that's right. I saw that 30 years ago or something like that.
The answer would be yes.
Oh, okay.
Because but in this particular instance, apparently it was 63 years ago yesterday that kind of blue.
Oh God, that is the greatest album. Oh my God.
Still the best-selling jazz album of all time. When you think about
Look who's
the
on it.
people who were on,
I know.
I mean,
Jesus Christ, that's
hey,
astounding.
Miles Davis, of course, but it's also John Coltrane. It's
Cannonball
also
Adderley.
Cannonball Adderley. It's also Bill Evans on the piano.
Jeez.
I mean, and the fact that Miles went into the studio and just gave them little scripts of paper, little just gave them a little bit of a framework. Didn't tell them what to play, just gave them the framework. They hadn't seen it for, this is the first time they're seeing it going into the studio, and they record it, and it just comes out the way it comes out, and the way it came out is legendary. Um, it's not only is the music good, the mythology around the whole thing is epic.
And talk about star-studded. Oh my God, that's insane. You know what? That was the specific album that made me fall in love with jazz. And I'm not a big jazz. I don't have like tons of knowledge, like history and knowledge, but I love it. And I sort of like the thing that reminds me of environments I want to be in. I think it's jazz all the time. It's like I want to be where that's being played, right? I just want to be there, right?
Well,
And this is the album that started me on all of it.
well, you remember, I'm a bit of a jazz
Hmm.
historian, but not,
Aficionado.
that too. Uh, so before Kind of Blue, the jazz, it was mostly bebop and dudes playing like 1,000 notes in a second, just they're knocking themselves out, like playing to exhaustion, be going all up and down the chords. I mean, it was almost sort of like Olympic style playing. And then when this came out, it was smooth, it was cool, it was calm, but it was great. And
Hmm.
it was, improvisation, but in a different style.
Yep.
The modal. So when I saw this yesterday on Facebook, I saw it on Facebook. I was like, yeah, all right, yeah, gotta shout that one out. All right, so
I'm there with you, man.
now
Completely there on that one.
there is something else I saw on your Facebook page. Let me see if I can bring this up. And then I've got one to kind of match, but I think I just saw this.
Yeah, I just saw that about 15 minutes before we got on, right? So I haven't responded to him yet, which I'm going to. It's amazing. 15 years, me and
So,
Vinny. Well, look, I mean, I always find him to be very astute, really, really bright guy, knows his stuff inside and out. Um, and he's a good heart. He's got a good heart. He's always got a smile for people. He's always trying to help people, and he'll battle for what he believes, uh, and politically we're different, but I really like the guy.
and he writes, industry hugs on my part with a smile.
No
Oh,
involuntary hug.
involuntary hugs on my part. Paul
That
demands
scared the hell
them.
out of me.
It's good he is such a teddy bear. His stories, on the other hand, I can spend hours listening to him. That's
Now
very
that I know he doesn't want a hug, I'll have to stop.
Yeah, we'll see if that works. All right, so that popped up for you, 15 years with Vinny.
Yeah, amazing.
And then like yesterday or the day before, this is what popped up for me. 14 years knowing Brian, well, on Facebook, knowing Brian Solis.
Amazing.
That's a long time. I mean, when you think about, 15 for you and Vinny, 14 for me and Brian. I mean, Facebook opened up to the public, what, 2007? So we're talking
Yeah.
15 years.
We're talking the length of Facebook, basically.
Yeah, where it is, and then, all these really, it also kind of gets you to start thinking about the kind of people we've been fortunate to meet, not just on social, but in actual real life,
Hmm.
and form these relationships with folks. Kind of, based on kind of the work we do, but eventually it goes beyond that. And so, I these two things came up, and I'm like, wow, Facebook does serve, you know, it has some good to it.
Oh, I look, honestly, that's the part about Facebook. Exactly what you're doing is what I love about Facebook. Is the parts I genuinely think it's valuable and useful. And the other thing for me, I'm a member of dozens of Facebook groups on everything ranging from my hobbies to all the stuff we're doing. Look, you're not going to find any good groups on Facebook on like CRM or something like that, but you find a lot of good groups on the cameras we're using or the devices we're using. And there's a lot of back and forth. And you know what? Incredibly responsive groups,
Yeah.
right? So like I've had questions at times and I'll ask and I get a response in like 15, 20 minutes. So Facebook, Reddit are two areas I go to routinely for that stuff.
Yep. By the way, say hello to our buddy Scott Wilder.
Hey, Scott.
Scott, actually knowing Scott predates, for me, predates Facebook. Scott, I had an opportunity to meet Scott when he was still at Intuit, and I know that was before
I
2000.
think you introduced me to him then. That's when you
Probably,
yeah,
probably,
because I
yeah.
know you introduced me. I remember that.
Yeah, Scott, you're right. Great to find like-minded folks. And hola. Yeah. And awesome. Good to see you. All right. A couple of quick notes. Wait, yeah, there was life before Facebook. It's good to, remember that.
It's easy to find in the fossil record on cliffs.
Wow. All right. I want to do a quick shout out for a special, and look at the lower left,
Ooh, lower left.
brought to you by PPN. We got to get James Earl Jones to do a This Is PPN kind of thing. Anyway,
Well, Anand Thakur is a good close second.
he's a close second. That's right. Anyway, just a quick shout out about what I am really looking forward to next Monday. A little later than usual, but a special time. I'm doing a few good minutes with Lori Castillo Martinez, who is the Chief Equality Officer over at Salesforce. To me, Salesforce has long been kind of the model tech organization, and maybe even beyond tech, but I'll just keep it at the kind of tech organization. And when it comes to how you do diversity, equality, and inclusion the right way, and of course, they hired Tony Profit years ago as their very first chief quality officer, and I know you remember because I couldn't stop talking about it. It was at a Dreamforce at least 3, maybe 4, possibly even 5 years ago, when he was on the main keynote stage at Dreamforce, and he was doing an actual product demo. Had
I
nothing
remember.
absolutely to do with diversity, inclusion, all that. He wasn't talking about that. It was just being illustrated because he was doing a main Dreamforce keynote product demo. And I was like, that's it. That's a company that is not just, kind of separating it and saying, yeah, we have that. But now we're seeing a company like Salesforce make it central by just having these people be put right into the business and talk about the business, not just
Yeah.
talk about the. I was like, okay, it's so great. So I am so glad to have Lori. I've never had a chance to talk to her one on one before, so I'm really looking forward to that and to get her take on, her perspectives on DEI, what DEI means to Salesforce and now, and also the role that DEI plays when we start hitting these choppy economic waters with recessions and inflation. What impact should DEI have or what should a company do with DEI when those kinds of things are taking place. So I'm really looking forward to that next week.
Well, that it's tough to fill Tony's shoes. I will say that, but I'm really excited to hear what she's got to say because Salesforce always makes on. Let's say this: he attracts the best people when it comes to people who really care, and so I'm looking forward to her. Do we want to talk about what we're doing at Dreamforce?
Funny you should mention that.
Yeah, I
Because
kind of
I think
what a
you
what a
know
shock.
you know what I didn't know this, but I just saw this.
That's the
This is the
20th
20-year
anniversary.
anniversary of Dreamforce.
Maybe we should do a tribute video.
Do you remember what year was your first Dreamforce?
Well, it's long after yours. I didn't go the first 3 or 4 years, I think. And then, so what was the first year? Was 20 years ago. So that would
That would be
be 2002.
2020, 2002. Yeah, 2000.
Yeah. So I think the first one I ever went to was like 2006 or something like
I,
that.
mine is so
Maybe seven.
mine is so easy to remember because it was election day 2004, and they had that George Bush lookalike guy, the really
Oh,
popular
yeah, yeah,
one.
yeah. Right.
He opened it up for, and people were losing their minds because they actually thought it was the president. I'm like, come on, it's election day. You think he's going to be here? I mean, he's got some better things to do, probably. I mean, but it was fun. I think there was like 2,500 people or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty big at the time.
Yeah. Well, I know this time in their scaled back
Wait,
version.
wait. I don't I don't know if that number is public.
Oh, all right. We'll
Yeah,
leave it alone.
yeah.
And plus, their revenue expectation for 2034 will be right.
And let's open the book of sales for
AKA the Book of Mormon, right?
now.
So
One thing that I think we can safely say is, for the first time in 3 years, CRM Playaz will be back at Dreamforce in the physical form. And look at this. How cool is this? We are going to do a live, well, at least we hope it'll be live, but at least we're going to be doing something. If it's going to be live or it's going to be recorded and you'll see it and we'll act like it's live, but we're hoping it'll be live. But this is really cool. We're going to have an opportunity to speak with, I think they call her Dr. G, but her full name is Geeta Nayar, who is their chief medical. Oh, I got a little.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure what. Oh, is that like
Chief
MBA
medical
officer?
Yeah, I know. It's her title. She's got, not only does she have an MD, she's an MBA. That's what it is. But she's the chief medical officer for Salesforce, and we're going to have a chance to spend some time do an episode with her, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Me too. This one's a unique opportunity. I mean, I met the original chief medical officer. I can't think of his name right now. Years ago, on it when remember when Salesforce had that cruise ship as one of the
right.
I literally met him on the cruise ship, right? So, but I've heard since her name came up, I sort of poked around a little, and I heard great things about her. So I am totally excited about this one.
Yeah,
And
we don't have
not too long.
No, we don't have all the details yet. As soon as we get things kind of squared away, we'll let you know, particularly if it's live, so you can check it out live and join in. But yeah, it's cool. I'm just kind of excited to be getting back out and seeing what Dreamforce looks like post pandemic.
Yeah, we have November. We don't have there's no details yet on this, but we will be at, I don't know what they're calling it now, the Sugar Con or whatever the name is, on somewhere. Well, we'll be there from November 9th through 11th. And on one of those days, we'll also be doing a CRM Playaz episode there.
Right. Yeah, that's an analyst event, I believe.
Right.
So
is it just analysts?
I think it's an analyst and some customers, sort of like, I guess, a Zoho Day kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it'll be cool. I had no idea. So it's 20 years of Dreamforce. So there's probably going to be some surprises, some interesting stuff. But I think it's going to be cool to talk to. I saw some. She goes on TV, a fair amount.
Yeah,
One of those doctors they call on get the scoop on stuff. So it'd be fun.
I'm looking forward to it. So that again, when we get details, we'll let you know.
All right. One. Okay. So before we go to our guest, yeah, we got time. So this is what I want to spend a few minutes with, and I think it'll be a good segue.
As long as it's
Um,
not a test.
not this week.
Okay. No
Just
quizzes,
a
no
question.
tests.
Just a question, but no. This isn't a stomp the, vulnerable kind of thing. Anyway, so I was looking through some of the stuff. You sift through all the stuff, all the news and things, and I saw this Apple could see another 30% upside, and this is their stock price, and I think like their market value is what 2.3 trillion or something, maybe
Jeez.
more than that. And this thing is like Apple could see another 30% upside if it surpasses its December 2021 highs. And I was like, wow. So we're talking like, I don't know, a $3 trillion in valuation. They aren't hurting, you know. They're doing pretty, and we talked about their earnings not too long ago. I believe they made about 19 billion in profit last quarter.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they're getting by. They're getting by. But yet and still layoffs. Interesting.
So these were contractors, this thing.
Yeah, Apple lays off recruiters as part of its slowdown in hiring. Okay, so and you've heard, about all the layoffs. We heard, of course, about Oracle, and then I think pretty much all the companies are doing some level of layoffs, which is kind of interesting considering the earnings reports. Everybody seems to be doing pretty good.
Yeah.
So kind of juxtapose that. But so I've been kind of tracking and looking at this stuff. And then so I posted something on LinkedIn and I was like, wow, I got this notification. Congratulations. Your post was featured by LinkedIn News uh team and coming soon to iPhone, more ads. And so it would wait a minute. Where's this? I
Wrong
want
one.
to do that one.
Yeah.
There we go. I want that. So this is what I posted. It was about the potential for Apple to start placing ads on your iPhone. And why? Why do they need it? I actually asked, do we really need this? I don't think we do as customers. But does Apple really need this? I mean, they're killing it. They're already doing great. They're making money hands over fist selling us actual devices. It just feels like,
Oh my God.
what's
Is that their reasoning below that?
well, it's because they can. Let's face it, they can. All right, though that's my feeling. But there was this really interesting comment from I don't know Suresh, but he left a comment. It might be a big blow to Apple if they consider adding ads in mobiles. Ads will only kill the customer. And when he said that, it's not just killing the customer base potentially. It's killing the customer experience, which will eventually potentially could kill the customer base. It's the customer experience. Why would they want to mess with the customer experience if they're already making almost 20 billion in quarterly profits? That's not revenue, that's profit. Without even doing this and potentially killing the customer experience, because what do they think customers want more ads at this point?
No.
Why would they do it? So it feels like they could do it because they can do it even at the expense of customer experience. And that kind of, I want to get your take on that because I think that may set us up for the conversation we're going to have with our buddy who is already in the green room. It looks like he's No, we don't have any food in the green room, so he's not eating anything, but he's there listening. So all that to kind of set up the conversation. They're doing great. They're making money. They got a $2.3 trillion market cap. They're on their way to 3 trillion in market cap. They just refreshed their whole line of computers with their M1 chips, and people have been gobbling it up left and right. They're making a killing. Why do they have to start talking about placing ads on our mobile devices when customers don't want that?
Right.
So
Well, go back to your original one.
No, okay, I'll go back
to your last one.
Yeah.
Look at the reasoning below it first. Why? To help our developers earn money so that they can create free and low cost apps. Like they couldn't do that.
Well, wait a minute.
But-
All right, so let's be fair. That's Steve Jobs. This is an old thing. I don't know if that's in regard.
Oh, did you put that up, or was that
no? That was the image that they use in the Bloomberg.
Okay,
kind of stupid, but
yeah, it's a horrible one. Okay, so let me put it this way: it's okay to go back to Steve Jobs. Really, I personally, and I'm not the only one, have never seen Apple as a customer-centric company ever. I think they're smart. I think they understand that build it and they will come works for them. I think they're building things that would be the equivalent of tracking moths to a flame or bees to, or flies to honey.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Flies to honey. Actually, the bees make the honey. The bees actually make the honey. They don't need to go to it. I think it's pretty much that's how they think. So I honestly don't, I remember their biggest KPI on retail was not what kind of experience someone has at a store, but how many dollars per square foot that they're selling, right? That was their KPI. And I don't know if that still is, but that's as recently as I think 2 years ago. So, well, maybe it's 3 now, but the reality is they're not a customer-centric company, right? I've never seen them that way. Again, someone want to prove me wrong. Just because you love Apple products or like Apple products doesn't make the company customer centric. And it kind of goes to what we will be talking about from the customer side. So them saying, well, the customers don't want it. Yeah, but you know what? We can make some more money. We can do this. We can do that. Look, let me put it this way. It goes to similar, and they'll put out the veneers of customer friendliness. Here's another example, just to give you a quick equivalent. So we have a dishwasher. It has a problem. It won't turn on. So the warranty service changed in between the time that we bought it and the time that we have this problem. So we get it. You have to go online now and you have to fill out a form. And then the company that's overseeing all customer service will put you with a local provider, and the local provider will call, theoretically contact you and work out something. Here's how it worked. Went online. Did that. The local provider sends me an email, says, your appointment is on August 24th, and we don't really provide windows. So therefore, just enjoy your day because we'll show up when we show up. But if you're not available within 15 minutes of the time we show up, we're going to move on to our next appointment. And you have no say in any of that. They assign it to you. They tell you that, and they literally say, so you can enjoy your day. That's the way they put it. That's what I mean. The BS around customer centric. Apple is effectively an equivalent of that, right? And I always thought that. I love the products. I use them. I use it. Phones and tablets for me are always going to be Apple. I'm not going to Android in any respect and have no desire to. But all in all, they're just not that kind of company that they care enough about the customer to really do anything about that issue. And so if it's another opportunity for revenue for them, so be it. Their shareholders get to be much happier, not the stakeholders, their shareholders. So that's what I mean.
And Larry is in agreement. Apple is deliberately not customer centric. It's one thing not to be customer centric by, happenstance or, we overlooked something. But the deliberateness, I mean, that's just sheer arrogance. And I guess they can get away with it because we buy all the stuff. So I totally agree. All right. They believe that customers don't know what they want. I know that was Steve Jobs, but apparently since it worked during the Steve Jobs years, it continues to work now, and they explicitly discount I mean, it's just like the playbook for customer, I don't know what, hatred or something.
Playbook for the Trump organization.
Right. But I mean, as we sit here and laugh, how many more iPhones and MacBook Pros were just bought in that 10 seconds of me laughing? I mean, it's, yeah, there it is. So, and Larry said, so with all that said, customer success as we know it today, is it a joke? Is it ridiculous? Is Apple just mocking it because they do everything opposite of what you would kind of think of when it comes about customer success, and they're still successful? Is it time for let me put this up, a customer success bill of rights? Oh yeah. And it's really ironic that it's the elephant.
Right.
We're going to have to ask our guest, why did he choose this particular image to bring this question to the forefront here? So with that, I turn things over to the venerable Paul Greenberg.
Oh, you had to pick which one of us it was now.
To introduce today's guest.
Well, I think a lot of people here already know today's guest, which is Josh Greenbaum. And Josh is one of the most astute, longstandingly influential enterprise analysts in the entire technology industry. He is one of the brightest people I know. He is a fighter for justice, and he really is that, who believes in the rights of man and everything associated with that. And at the same time, has the deepest insights and is willing to speak his mind. I mean, I can tell you, which I won't, because then he won't have any time to do anything. I can tell you story after story about Josh standing up for something and asking a question that other people may have been thinking, but no other people were willing to ask. And he was the one who did and would get the answer. But because of that, he's highly respected. And I personally just love the guy. So, let's just bring this man on. There he
Hello,
is.
hello.
Hey, you don't have to sing
Wait.
today.
Oh, there's always a song. Watch out. There's always a song. Thank you. It's great to be here. Good to see you both. I'm done blushing, but that was very nice of you to introduce me that way. And
True.
Where do we start?
Why don't we start at this picture?
Yeah. By the way, I want everyone to notice the species or subspecies of elephant that is. Those of you who don't know, that is an Indian elephant or Asian elephant. Okay. This article this blog post comes from was about a company, largely about a company based in India. So I had to make sure if I was going to use an elephant, I wanted to have the right continent's elephant.
So my first question is, how the hell are we supposed to tell that's an Indian elephant?
Ears.
Well, it's the ears. Yes.
It's the ears.
Yes. You see those pictures of that bull elephant with those ears way out here about to stomp you to death. That's an African elephant being mad. The Asian elephants have much smaller ears.
I've already learned something new today, folks. I really hadn't paid too close attention to the ears, but
details count. I didn't want any.
So would Dumbo be an African elephant? Is that what you're telling me?
I think Dumbo's an African elephant. Though, honest to God, and I swear I've not seen that movie since I was a kid, and I try to watch it with my kids, and I shut it off faster than you can say, "Get me out of here." So let's not bring up Dumbo. But yeah. About 14 reasons why. So you were giving Apple a hard time there, huh?
Yeah.
Seems like they're giving us a hard time, and yet we still love them so.
And that's the problem with customer centricity versus customer success. They're not necessarily the same thing. I mean, this, and I got one ear, that's a hell of a customer-centric device. It does what I want, and it does it well. And and honestly, I'd say, and they're customer-centric insofar as they are providing something really important to me, which is a level of privacy I wouldn't get from the other phone manufacturer. But yeah, they, wait till they put ads on this thing. I'm going to be screaming as loud as any of us. So don't
How
worry.
ironic, how ironic and sick is this? The company that provides us the best customer-centric kind of experience device is the one that tells us we don't know what the hell we want. We'll give you the kind of
We'll tell you what
that
you want.
we
Yeah.
want. And yet still, that's really ironic.
I know that's just as ironic as a company that sells relationship management software having bad customer experiences. Wouldn't that be? I mean, what the heck?
That's been the history of CRM technology. How many times have you gotten an ad from one of the vendors that has no idea that you've been in their analyst program for about the last 20 years, right? And they sell, and as soon as you download a white paper, they make you a sales prospect, don't have any clue where you came from, nothing.
Right, nothing.
Always the irony of the industry. Never,
Right.
I have yet to see one company.
Well, and
do that
I'll
right.
take it another level. Let me pick on Tom Siebel because I can. When Siebel was Siebel and he was running that big company, he actually invested in a survey research company called Sat Matrix, which then, lo and behold, became the company running his customer sat surveys.
Right.
And they were putting out numbers that were, workday level like, to pick on someone else we're maybe going to talk to about in a minute. And then, to their credit, or actually to someone inside Siebel's credit, I got a hold of the survey instrument, and sure enough, they gamed the survey. And it's very easy to do. You ask a trick question that has an internal logic that makes it pretty much impossible to say yuck. So they got everyone saying yum, yum, yum all the time. And that's the problem, is that not only, and that's what I wrote this piece about, which I think how I got invited here today, it's not just that people talk about customer success, they cover it up. They cover up the problem of a lack of customer success by doing, I call it customer successing, because it's kind of like greenwashing. It's like, yeah, we're fine, we're doing a great job here, don't worry. And yet when you really dig under the covers, nope, they're not. Or they're not doing anything new and different. That's the problem.
You want to answer this question from Thomas before we get into kind of the meat of what you wrote? And Thomas, I don't know. Maybe we need a little clarification.
I think does it do
what you want?
I think he meant, does it do what you want better than the next Android phone? And
Okay.
why?
Well, it does an important thing that I want, which is not monetize my PII. So yeah, that's a really important thing. I have an agreement with Apple. I pay them a lot of money, and they can do they can monetize my PII as long as it's Apple that's doing it. They're not letting third parties do it. That's fine with me. Android would never happen. So yes, that's the answer.
All right, cool.
So,
All right.
So here's the thing. I read this 2 or 3 times actually. No, it's not a tome. My God, that's one of your shorter posts, right? So, and I noticed it was very, and I'm kind of simplifying it a bit, but it's very implementation project, focused for customer success, and to your point, throughout, obviously, most companies are not prepared to even speak to the customer about what that actually means for them in any way. They just typically have programs, for that. But there was one thing that was interesting. I wanted to sort of see where you stood on, or how you would elaborate on this, was more on this. So for example, if you look at, let's say, Salesforce's or ServiceNow, they each have programs that are designed to, that are part of, there's 2 trends that I'll go to. The first one is they have programs that are designed more to help companies with strategy around not just implementation, but kind of business strategies, obviously associated with whatever it is they've implemented, but business strategies that are not really designed to be specifically project focused, but are designed more to identify not just the measure and value of success. So one is, I'll
It's
get
the
to the second one.
That's the consultancy model,
Right,
where
exactly.
blah blah blah. Yeah, we're doing this high level strategic consulting.
And ServiceNow has actually a pretty long history of doing that part really well. And I remember I had Celia Fleischacker, when now it's CMO of Verint, of course, when she was at Epicor, she was one of ServiceNow's marquee partners. And I asked her about this customer success program, because one thing a few years ago ServiceNow did, which was very good, was that they had a fully documented customer success program that actually was focused around, would be closer to what you're talking about than anybody else I've seen. I'll say that. Not probably at the level you're talking about, but not far. And she absolutely loved what they would do. There was 24/7 availability, and so on and so forth. But interestingly, and I still, what's the name of it? I can't believe I'm blocking the name of the Salesforce program, the one that Brian Velmuir is part of. Brent.
God,
with an I. It starts with an I. It'll come to me. But it's designed around. How do you look at those kind of programs in the context of what you're identifying?
Well, and you're right. I focus. So, this is the blog post I wrote in reaction, to what I saw was a trend, two trends, one of which has been going on for a while, and the other and has not abated, and the other that's been going on for a shorter term and has really taken the world by storm, which is, we have on the one hand this continuous problem with getting enterprise software up and running correctly in an appropriate time and delivering value. And we have a growing number of executives with the customer success label. And my main point was we don't see data. We don't see any. We have this effort called customer success, and we don't actually have measurable success for it. We have a lot of spend and market share of mind share going, yeah, we're doing customer success. So that was the real original takeoff point for this cranky blog post. But I think the large scale consulting sort of work that you're talking about is very important, but it's a very different kind of success, because it's really saying let's set you up for success. Right. Let's get you positioned as a company at your C-level strategy, largely, right, or line of business strategy for success. Now, and that's something that, again, the McKinseys and the Bains and others have been doing for a while. McKinsey gets themselves in a lot of trouble because they say, yeah, well, if you're a pharma, success is let's sell as many opioids as possible, and we'll help you do it. And that, gets you a little bit of hot water. So that kind of successing is big money, and the devil is in the details. And in fact, I think that's probably part of the defense of folks like McKinsey in those negative examples is, well, we didn't tell them exactly how to do that. We just told them this is a good way to do it. Right. And to a large extent, that's what comes out of these high-level strategy consulting customer success programs is we're going to tell you what needs to be done, but the tactical part of it, which and the tactical really starts at the implementation phase, is a different story. That's a different part of the business usually. Right. And it has a different set of KPIs. And at the end of the day, I'm going to pick on McKinsey again, all that high level strategy for Purdue Pharma, when it came down to executing it, whoops, the devil really was there in the details, and the devil won. And that's so you can have that strategy consulting. It can be very successful, and some of those programs are great. And there's a lot of value engineering type programs that are helping companies steer their business in the direction of success. But it's very different than the success itself. I can plan for my son to go to a great college next year, and set that up perfectly. He's still got to go to college and do a good job. And right. That's the different story. So when the rubber hits the road, it's the implementation, and all that great strategy on the business side meets all that chaos on the implementation side, and customer success goes right out the window, and that has not changed in my opinion.
Okay, so then the other part of this is at the technology vendor level. Oh, the Salesforce program was Ignite. That was the one I was trying to remember. Right. Just came to me. So at the technology vendor level, I noticed there's also this increasing trend. And again, ServiceNow actually has come out with a program already that's pretty institutionalized, but others are moving in this direction. I know of several I could speak to on this, where they're looking at, historically, a lot of the moving parts of customer success, which you outline really here, are very much disconnected from each other. So for example, you'll have professional services, and you'll have help desk, and you'll have customer service, and you'll have, ultimately you'll have 7 or 8 different, maybe more, departments that are kind of working loosely together, but not really, who are arguing over things because each of them has a different perspective. So one of the trends, and I think Pros is another one doing this, is that they're umbrellaizing all of that, right? And they're basically saying, look, we'll work out everything up to including everything around revenue recognition, but ultimately we're organized to the idea that all of you together have to work, and you may not all be active in each effort, but you'll all be capable of acting together as a unit, and at the same time retain your individual skills, and at the same time stop bitching and complaining about the other one, so that we actually can at least be a little more optimal about the way we deal with the customer directly, who more or less is just seeing you guys bicker all day, right? So which is what happens,
or step on each other's toes. And
well, exactly.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that trend? Because I always found that one fascinating. I'm not 100% certain it's going to work all the time, but at least I see it as a little more positive. Yes, no.
Yeah, no, and I think, one of the problem with big companies, the bigger the company, the more points of entry for the customer, and that's where, and therefore the more points of confusion. And you can, and that is a problem. You walk around a lot, any large enterprise software company asking, who's in charge of customer success, and there's a lot of people who will, raise their hand, including someone with the title, but there's a lot of people who don't have that title who also think they're, and to me, I'm, in a way, I don't really care, to use an old, an old metaphor. I don't care what the cat looks like. I want it to be able to hunt the mice successfully. And I think that was actually a Joe and Lai.
Oh, really?
Said that. Yeah. But I think it's maybe it was Confucius.
Maybe Mao. It could have been Mao directly.
Or Confucius directly, which would get us in a lot. But the point is, and this is where I really, I sort of, the real issue that I want to come out with, and I hope I made clear in this blog post, is we need measurement. We need real measurement. And, the problem with, with transparency, which is what measurement is all about, is of course it implies a dedication to accountability. And those two twin concepts scare the pants off of a lot of companies, because this is the other thing I sort of crankily get into in this, is who is the real customer? Who is the customer? You brought this up, Brent. I think you were implying this with Apple. Who the heck is a customer? The investors, Wall Street is definitely one of the customers. And when you look at these moves towards increased revenue and, full steam ahead, screw the customer, it's no, you're not screwing the customer. You're doing exactly what the real customer wants. You're making Wall Street happy. And, I make the point in my blog post, all that last minute end of quarter frenzy around closing the deals, let's just look at that. When a huge percent of the deals get done, and a huge, and it's a whole effort to push the company over the bottom, over that line in the sand that they drew with the analysts last quarter, boy, that is not customer centric at all, not in the least. There's only one customer that's for, and that's for the guys, and it's all guys listening on the quarterly financial call, in a few weeks. So there you go. I mean, it's the bottom line is not about customers.
So,
about,
So do you see, because we, kind of, I guess we'll just bring the Apple theme all the way through this conversation. Are you seeing that most companies are trying to be like Apple in the sense that if they can get a way of dictating terms to the customers, that's just the way that they're going to operate? You know, we know better. Not just we want our shareholders, you know, keep them happy, but we actually think we know better, and regardless of what they think, we're going to keep on doing what we're doing. And
Yeah.
they really haven't had a whole lot of, you know, generally speaking, a whole lot of consequences to that line of thinking. And in fact, Apple, we're celebrating Apple. I'm looking around my room right now. I've got I'm live streaming from one MacBook. I got a second MacBook next to me. There's a third MacBook that I bought like 12 years ago for my DJ. I just moved over for DJing. I got like 2 or 3 iPads around here. I got a phone,
Yeah.
and yet and still, I'm sitting here, you know, saying how bad their customer, you know, the view they have of the customer so bad, and yet and still, you know, I'm
And,
trying all this stuff.
yeah, and you know what? What's interesting is that this mentality, you know, I think it starts. You know, you can sort of look at user agreements and say, you know, this is kind of where it's. You know, we're gonna ask you to sign a 12-page user agreement by checking a box, and no one ever reads it because to hell with you. And what's fascinating to me is, you know, to hell with you. You're gonna buy our stuff. You need our stuff. We don't really need to have an actual engagement with you. Let's just, you know. And what's fascinating, I just, you know, the whole right to.
Or even worse, if you're gonna engage with us, you're gonna do it on our terms.
On our terms.
You're gonna
and
give
guess what?
Your money, and you're gonna do what we say.
That's right. And now you're finding that John Deere. I'm sorry. Let's be, you know, right to repair. You know, if you're a farmer and you buy a tractor, you're not allowed to repair it. You're not allowed to do anything to it. DEF CON, the security conference, just closed out with a couple of guys showing how to hack a John Deere tractor and repair it. Right to repair is part of that. We're, you know, screw you, literally, just take our money. Unfortunately, the airline industry runs that way too. There's a lot of ways in which our economy is based on this screw you. I just tweeted out yesterday, on the other hand, you know, I went to redeem some points from Southwest this week, and I looked at the expiration date for the points, 12/31/40.
What?
40. Damn. That's great, Alaska Airlines, because that's not how a lot of American doesn't run that way. 40. How easy was that to make me one hell of a happy customer?
But you know what? After saying this rant about how terrible Apple kind of looks at us, you know, as us peon consumers that just buy whatever they put up, you know, give us and deal with the treatment of whatever. I have to say, I'm okay because they make great stuff. They make it easy for me to use it. You know, I know. It's like they're giving me what I want, even if sometimes I don't know that I want it originally. It feels okay to me only because they are delivering. Now, what they're delivering, apparently, you know, I don't have any say in it. But they're delivering something that I like.
Yeah, and that's a problem. And now let's shift over to enterprise software. And so if you're a school teacher in the San Francisco public school system and you don't get a paycheck because your HR implementation payroll system blew up your paychecks, you're not there. No one's delivering, and that's the problem. We'll put up with a whole lot of stuff as long as there's a delivery, or we're desperate. So we're also desperate. So I got to fly to, you know, see my family in Thanksgiving. I'm going to pay. I just was looking at the prices, you know,
Yeah,
it's going to be amazing.
Well, I hope you're not flying American, because they just cut 31,000 flights during November.
Don't get me started. I'm looking at how fast can I drive to Michigan in the winter. Anyway, but that's it. So it's this balance. And my big point, going back to enterprise software, is that the promise is broken. The promise is broken too often in the implementation phase. and you get to this point where there's a deal done, there's a contract written. I hate to say it, oversold and underdelivered is the bottom line, and the consequences are enormous. And I think one of the big consequences, I was playing with the screen background here for this software, and I couldn't get my favorite background screen, but I've been tracking the growth in productivity in the U.S. economy against the growth in IT spending in the U.S. economy for this century. And IT spending basically does this: 2%, 3%, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12 down. Just it's got this, it's this, this jagged set of peaks. Productivity growth is hovering down 1-2%, never changes. I mentioned that in the blog post as well. Why is that? Well, there's a lot of factors going in. I contend one of them is that we are selling software that's supposed to do X, Y, Z, and then when it comes to delivery time, it doesn't, or it takes so long and it's so complicated, and so expensive, or you end up in court, or God forbid you are, you're not paying a unionized workforce. Whoa, that's a bad thing to do. And there you go. So yeah, it's different. If this thing is a problem, that's one thing. If my teachers aren't getting paid, that's something else.
Well, so let's go to the next part of this. Is what, and now I'm going to quote Lenin: "What is to be done? Stowed a lot." Right.
Is this John or Vladimir?
Vladimir. This is Vladimir Ilyich, not John. Right. What is to be done?
Yeah.
Stowed a lot. Right. My Russian's not great, but I remember the transliteration from when I was younger. So anyway, what do we do? I mean, okay, you mentioned measurement, but you also talk about customer bill of rights and a partner bill of rights, which is rather striking too. And I know you and John Reed have talked about this, and you and John and Phil have talked about this. But I think at this point, that is a real deal. And there's a lot of companies that claim they have a customer bill of right too, right? Well, yeah, I mean, but they don't. I mean, I you see that customer bill of right, and it's basically, here's all the promises that we're probably going to break, right? So
just like some other bill of rights I know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the problem with bills of rights is that you have to fight for them,
right? And
you have to have a mechanism to do that, and that's where transparency and accountability come in. That's where measurement come in. You need a bill of rights. You need to be able to, and I firmly believe this. And that bill of rights should start with what I had in that, customer success is our only business. But at the end of the day, somewhere down in that list means we are going to, we're going to measure. We're going to have an independent third party measure it, and we're going to publicize that. And we are going to have that kind of transparency that, frankly, is, to use the analogy, thank God we have, an open society is still, God willing, hanging in there, because that open society allows us to expose the problems in grand juries and subpoenas. We need something similar in the enterprise software space. We need an open information system. We need access, because this is what really should matter. Is we should be making sure our customers are successful, not making sure our investors are rich. That's for.
So let's go Horowitz. Take that to a different sort of part of that. So, one of the big distinctions that companies will make, and it's one that, let's say, at least on the surface, you can allow for some positive thinking, I'll say, is when a company is willing to distinguish between shareholder rights and stakeholder rights, right? And there's an obvious difference at that point. So, but is it a difference that's actually meaningful, or is it, you think, for the most part, it's just verbiage?
What, the customer bill of rights stuff?
Well, the idea of ultimately, are you dealing with? Well, let me reshape the question a little bit. With customer bills of rights, are you dealing with a stakeholder bill of rights, or are you dealing with a customer as one of the stakeholder bills of rights?
Well, these are complicated questions. Thank you for throwing that softball over at me. What is a customer?
You can handle
absolutely
it.
Yeah, thanks. What is a customer, and it's complicated. What is success and what is a customer and what is customer success are not simple questions or terms to define. I think that we do, and I think I say that in the blog post as well. Yeah, success is different for different people in the organization. Absolutely, an implementation could be 100% successful from IT standpoint, and 100% successful. I saw this happen. A company builds this great new commerce front end for the customers to buy furniture, and do it, model the room, configure. That's a success from the customer standpoint. Success from a commercial standpoint. The supply chain manager almost, jumped off a roof because suddenly he was being asked to fulfill, in 30 days instead of 60 days, and his supply chain wasn't tuned to say 30, it was tuned to 60, and bam. So success is complicated. And whose success is the big one. But so part of the problem is, how do you do that? And I'm not saying I answered it all. I think that, but ultimately I say it has to be success as defined by the customer. The customer has to really say, yeah, and not the customer in a fakey, game survey, but real metrics. I really got this. This worked for me. We moved the needle, and this is how.
Amen on that one.
Yeah, but I guess before companies can try to pretend that they're all for it, I'm not even say pretend. That's kind of a backward. To say that they're all for it, they have to get their corporate culture and their practices aligned in order to actually do it. Because, like you said, it's knowing it and doing it are completely separate things. And most of them outside of Apple, maybe they do want to try to get to that point, but then being able to actually do it. So how far are we away from like significant bill passage of this customer success bill of rights? I mean, is this something you actually see could actually happen? And if so, how long are we waiting until 2040 to your expiration of your points or something like that? I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, and this is what I had a lot of. I had a lot of hopes with this when this trend of having executives with customer success in their title, came about, and that was, that. So I think that's a good start. It's kind of like, greenwashing started as pure greenwashing, and then regulations showed up. And all of a sudden, you actually had to start proving this stuff, and the whole, I think diversity in employment was a nice to have, and then Me Too and other things happened that actually put a real spotlight on it. And while we still have a long way to go in that world, look at diversity at the board, and right there, nonetheless. It happens. So I think customer success execs are a good start. I want to know how badly they get bled when the customer fails, because right now none of them, as far as I know, actually take a hit. That's it. You said that right. I mean, Brent, it's a culture problem. It's a business process problem. That's why I sort of nominated Zoho for this job, only because they're starting fresh, and this is really, and let me shout out to there are some very sincere, dedicated customer success executives with that title who are really trying to, they're trying to turn that, that old rusty, 2 mile long tanker, in a storm at night in heavy, and it's hard as hell. But maybe the way to do that is to start by, let's be open about it. Let's be transparent. Let's actually say what's really happening and where we want to go. And if you do that, you're going to inoculate yourself from bullshit, in my opinion. Yeah. You're going to have to keep moving.
It went to a point you kind of made explicitly once I think in there, and implied throughout, which is when it starts, basically the company really does have to care about it, right? I mean, because obviously, as we've kind of established, Apple doesn't, but on the other hand, Zoho does.
Yeah.
right?
That's
So
like from A to Z. How
yeah,
about
wow,
Whoa,
that
dude.
is whoa.
the A to Z bill of customer success bill of rights?
Right.
We
The
just did it
scale.
right
No,
here.
it'll be the scale. It'll actually
Yeah,
be
The
the scale.
scale, the A to
It's
Z
the
scale.
scale.
But
There
it's like
you
a
go.
reverse
right.
because A would
Yeah.
you would think it'd be good, but
A is the worst, and Z is the best.
all
Z
right.
Wow.
for Zenith.
There,
We've worked it all
Yeah.
out. We got the framework, the scaling. I'm all in. All right. Before we go, there's one other bill I'd like to get behind. And this comes from our buddy Frank Radis, who just sent me this. Seeing Prince on the $20 bill. I am all for that.
Ouch.
Let's
That's a
get it
fine,
done.
fine looking bill though, but
Let's
yeah.
get
look
it
at,
done.
they should call it the 1999,
The bill formerly known
really
as,
known as a 20.
I love
Well,
that.
you know, if we're talking inflation, it's the the 1899.
That's right. That's right. The 1752
All right. Well, Josh, always a pleasure. Thanks.
Hey,
was
Thanks
it
for the
mine.
post. I mean, I think that it sparked a really interesting conversation. And I
Yeah, it
hope
was
just
great.
sparked.
yeah. Well, and so far, I keep checking under the hood. I don't see anything planted there yet, but I don't know if I'm pretty sure I didn't make a whole lot of friends with that.
Well, you know what? It was it wasn't like hostile. It was a well-reasoned post. I mean, we weren't sitting there going, "Hi, by the way, you're all a bunch of absolute jerks." Right? I hate you all. But
Well, that was
here's what I
version
think
1, 2, 3,
Right.
4, and 5. This is
No,
I got to
exactly. That's right.
I revised it from
You got to
Yeah.
let's say this. You got pretty close to Z with that, right?
there.
So
Okay.
Well, he did
Thank
get
you.
the Z.
Right.
Yeah, it started with Z.
Yeah.
But but honestly, me, I really believe in this.
Yeah.
This is what I want to see in the world. I started a company that did that kind of measurement.
I remember.
I just shut it down. It cost me, a lot of heartache to see it go. It got shut down primarily. I'll take a few, hits on some things I did wrong, but fundamentally nobody wanted, as soon as you showed them transparency and accountability, they said, yeah, great. And then when you say, but it's you who's accountable,
Right.
they go, oh, no, not me. I don't want, no, it's, it's a
Exactly.
great idea for somebody else, not me. And as long as we keep saying, yeah, customer success, just not me.
Yeah.
We're still in trouble.
All
Okay.
right. All
Okay.
right. Great conversation. We don't even have to ask the question because he's been on before. I don't even remember what the answer is, although I know it wasn't Patriots. So
Right.
we're good.
Oh, me? You don't ask me those questions. You don't ask me those questions.
No, there's no point in asking it was a sports question. We just didn't
Yeah,
have
no.
really-
I
know.
to me, it's like pornography. I'd much rather be doing it than watching it. It's
Right.
Okay. And on that note,
yeah, we gotta go. Whoa! Cut.
on behalf of Josh Greenbaum, on that note, I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
And of
Oh,
course,
Josh Greenbaum.
we got to say goodbye to many on our way out. We'll see you next week.
Okay,
Have a good
thank you,
one.
gents. Have a good one.